Welcome back to the world of DC superhero movies. If you know me, you know me that I do feel a really distrustful on the DC superhero properties, considering that they all were marred by, the style of Zack Snyder, or they just want to imitate the Christopher Nolan films, and so you remember, I think I say that lots and lots of times. I think that I even say it on the extended edition of the Justice League film, that I think that the DC superhero universe, it kind of begs for a reboot, because it had a bad start. And so, although I do agree that once in a while kind of good movies came out from my head, are the first Wonder Woman, the Aquaman film, and probably I will say that Shazam was one of the best ones in my opinion. I had this really distaste on, and honestly kind of like low expectations of the DC cinematic universe that they built up for many years. But in this case, I think that you're gonna tell me that, well, why are you talking about that? Well, it's a little bit of a background for me telling you that I had zero expectation and kind of like a pessimistic expectations on the Suicide Squad. Mind you, I said the Suicide Squad. Don't confuse it with this piece of garbage named Suicide Squad. Because I don't care if the Suicide Squad film that came out years ago, it had been involved with a lot of hellish productions, people that didn't know what tone they wanted to do with that film, an undeserving Academy Award for Best Makeup when nothing feels so good. It was a kind of like a very messy film from what I remember. It still wanted to keep on the legs of that Zack Snyder universe that I think that it failed. I don't care what people kind of say. But at the end of the day, I heard people that are still defending that Suicide Squad film despite how much I don't like it. So you can tell that I was dreading the Suicide Squad, despite that the movie this time is directed by James Gunn, which is kind of weird in a way, because Justice League, at least not the extended edition, when Zack Snyder abandoned that film, they leave it to Joss Whedon, who he had experience with the Marvel movies, and what a mess it was, until Zack Snyder decided to take his baby back and finally raise it as how it was supposed to be. And mind you, the extended cut, like I said, it was a better product. It was a much better product than that film. Than, of course, the last one that I'm talking about. But still, I do have lots of problems with that. So, the Suicide Squad kind of has the same kind of problem. I don't remember exactly who was the director of the other Suicide Squad, but now we got the Suicide Squad, which kind of comically has kind of like the same thing that we got. Now it's directed by someone who has more experience with the Marvel movies. In this case, we got the guy who who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. And up to this day, Guardians of the Galaxy, I will say that it's my favorite of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So, but still, because I like to see movies where it goes, even though there are some of the bad ones. And even if I might regret watching it, I decided to watch that film. Although, mind you that this time I decided to watch it in the comfort of my home. I didn't go to the movie theaters because, funnily enough, I got HBO Max, but the only reason I got it is because I wanted to watch it, Jellystone. You know, the Hanna-Barbera characters that it was created with the vision of the creator of Chowder. And I enjoy that. So I took that opportunity to just stay home and nothing much well to do. The best way I can say about the Suicide Squad, and well, what do I think after watching this 3-hour-long movie from what I can tell, is this. I think that at this point, I think something gave my expectation a kick in the nuts. And what I'm gonna say is probably gonna make frogs rain from the sky, or probably is gonna make cats and dogs living together, and we're gonna have mass hysteria. Because I don't believe what I'm gonna say. I came out really liking this movie. How's that possible? That was a great film. I don't want to say that I love it, because that would be extremely. But I just came out really liking this film. It's probably one of the best I have seen this year. How's that possible? How's that possible? It's almost like DC. Your superhero DC movie. Where have you been? Where have you been? I came out enjoying this film as much as I enjoyed the early Marvel Cinematic Universe. And honestly, when you think about it, this is not a superhero movie. This is more an anti-hero movie. But wow, that compared to the last one, this is much better. That's how they do it. I don't even believe myself on what I'm saying, and I'm the cynical one here. Of course, there are some things that I kind of roll my eyes out, but this is how you make a DC movie. Learn from that. Okay, I calm myself a little bit. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I'm actually really surprised. Considering that I had really low expectations after my usual disappointment for all the DC Cinematic Universe. But I'll just talk about the things that I like and the things that I dislike about this film as I go. For the people who doesn't know, and the Suicide Squad is basically a team of villains from the DC Cinematic Universe, in which they are these are criminals that are recruited by by this person named Amanda Waller. In the movie, she is played by Viola Davis. But basically, she's kind of like a no nonsense higher up agent, from the best I can tell, in which she technically recruits all these villains in ways kind of like, it's kind of like a program in order to recruit them so they can create missions in the hopes to either fulfill them or getting rid of them. They are calling them the Suicide Squad because each of them are planted with a chip in which if they disobey or run away, they're gonna explode and die. And most of these missions are basically deadly. So this is why they're called the Suicide Squad. I know that there's comics about this, and there's some notable characters who belong there. If I remember from the last movie, some of the notables are, of course, the fan favorite Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Killer Croc was also in the last movie, but well, you're gonna forget Deadshot and Killer Croc on this film because they don't appear. They only managed to get a few others that I don't remember, but obviously they had to get Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang was also there, even though Captain Boomerang, oh my god, I'll tell you when I get there, because basically the synopsis is that Amanda Wallace, Amanda Waller, I mean, she basically formed a team of the Suicide Squad in order to infiltrate this kind of like this Mexican island or Mexican small town, because they have this hidden project, kind of like a little bit of an what was it, kind of like a German sounding name that I don't remember, but basically there's something hidden in there, and the Suicide Squad have to infiltrate inside this place and, well, kill all the bad people, and, well, technically that's it. The funny thing about this movie is that I do remember the teaser trailer that it was like kind of like this long list of all the characters that they have been chosen to be on the Suicide Squad. It's almost like the biggest cast that you're gonna get. And guess what? Half of that team, they get annihilated in the first 5 minutes. Even Captain Boomerang. So, wow, they just hired some of these actors only to get killed. So we can concentrate on the other team that matters, which in this case, the one that is practically the protagonist of this film, which is not Deadshot, but a guy named Bloodsport, and he's played by Idris Elba. And part of the team, and his team consists of this guy named the Peacemaker, who is played by John Cena. Yeah, I wanted to say something. Yeah, you know that it's John Cena. It's obvious that you're gonna say this guy his name in that way once. There's this girl who I can't find the name of what was it? The name of the actress there. You know what? Give me a minute. I'm gonna see it over there. Daniela Melchior. She plays a character named Cleo Caso, who is kind of like this girl who has this machine that kind of looks like a microphone, which allows her to control rats. And there's also this guy. There's also this guy who, well, again, the name escapes me of the actors, and I want to be respectful as possible, but I can't. David Dalmatian, and he played this character named Polka Dot Man, and yes, I can see in your face that Yes, there is a character in the DC universe called Polka Dot Man. And yeah, this basically a guy who he kind of is a humanoid twister floor mat. And of course we got the CGI character of the movie, in which is this big giant shark named King Shark, and he's played by none other than Sylvester Stallone. These are technically kind of like the main squad that we see for the most of the movie. But at the same time, Harley Quinn, again played by Margot Robbie, she basically is the only survivor of the squad that was annihilated. She inherits a javelin from this guy who got killed, and she's taken prisoner by this kind of like this Mexican military group that for some reason it looks like they're infiltrating into the Far Cry 6 video game that is coming. So yeah, that's basically the whole thing. I think it is time for me to talk about some of my thoughts and views about the actors. For a group of actors, I will say that they do really good for an anti-hero movie. Idris Elba does his job like Idris Elba does. I like, of course, the Red Girl. She basically kind of becomes the heart of the movie. Viola Davis does her job as well, kind of like this kind of like this tyrannical headquartered woman, in which honestly that character put me on a blood boil. In the first Suicide Squad movie, this one is no different. And don't worry, it's not against Viola Davis. Viola Davis, she did act like a great character, and I know, and from my little knowledge that I have from Suicide Squad and that character, she's basically kind of like this character who is basically kind of like the extreme law version of Batman, and I know that she butt heads with Batman sometimes. John Cena, I'm surprised that he does his role very well, because now that I think of it, he was a wrestler, or he still is. He doesn't exactly is a great actor, but from what he was given, he's done well. I like Sylvester Stallone's voice work with the character. I think that I'm talking more about the character when I was thinking that I was supposed to talk about the characters themselves, because some of the characters, I'm glad that they did their kind of like they tried their hardest to make us feel, well, more or less sympathetic with them, but at the same time not, because at the end of the day, most of them are douchebags. They're criminals, and that's how they do. Although there is kind of like this arc in which the Bloodsport has kind of like a rocky relationship with the daughter, in which in the first scene both of them, they kind of begin to yell and hate each other, and until Viola Davis kind of just blackmails the guy, saying that, hey, you're gonna be part of the Suicide Squad, or else I'm gonna put your daughter in jail for she stole some. I think, from what I heard, she stole something, a sport, kind of like a watch, and because she's a minor, she wants to transfer her into a jail that is fitting for her, because I think it's Pennsylvania. According to her, Pennsylvania, they can lock up people under at the age of 16. But still, the problem that I have with this is that it feels a little bit too fast, and I didn't buy that the guy technically liked the daughter or something like that. So he felt that the responsibility of the daughter it felt more forced than genuine. Actually, when when Bloodsport caring for the what was it for the rat girl, which I always forget the name, they have better chemistry than Bloodsport and the daughter. Peacemaker also is kind of like this guy who goes all. The best way I could describe him is basically what will happen if Captain America was more of a douchebag. The King Shark is, I'm not gonna lie, he was lovable. I love this guy. He's so stupid, but so dumb. Oh, and speaking of big creatures, this movie also has a small creature in which the rat girl also has this pet rat that is kind of like a very friendly rat that even tries to befriend the Idris Elba character, but he actually has a big phobia with rats, which is because of a past trauma that he had. Oh yeah, and also this movie has General, what was it, the character? Colonel Rick Flag, played by Joel Kinnaman. I don't remember he was in the first movie. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. I don't remember it because it's been a while since I saw the other movie. And I think that you might be saying, hey, are you forgetting Harley Quinn? Well, let me say this. Harley Quinn, I am kind of glad that they don't overuse this character. She's kind of like a character who got kind of like sidetracked in her side mission of survival, and then until she joins the other squad. But here's the thing. I think that this is probably the best Harley Quinn movie that Margot Robbie has been. I hated Suicide Squad, and you know that I wasn't very fond of her solo movie, you know, the Birds of Prey one. But even in this movie, I still stand by saying that Margot Robbie is a good actress, but she's still not a good Harley Quinn. Because even while watching this movie and even while enjoying it, I still don't buy that character was Harley Quinn. And I was thinking, what is wrong? Is it me? Because honestly, the more they try, they can't. She can't make a Harley Quinn. What is missing? I mean, she has the makeup. She has, well, the purse that she has. She is the character, of course. But for some reason, I don't see her. I don't see Harley Quinn. I see just another rebel woman. That's it. Maybe if she could be a little bit more playful and also probably acting out a little bit on her voice. I kind of like, hey, Mr. J, maybe she could be a little bit more playful than I could have buy that she is Harley Quinn. And don't get me wrong, she tries. She tries. But I still can't see Harley Quinn in her. Now it's time for me to say what made this movie really, really enjoyable. And that is, of course, if there's a movie that kind of deserves some praise on the action, that one is. Because, man, that the movie, as the movie kept going, and even from the first 5 minutes, it tells you that this movie is going to be such a bloodbath. And it also has this kind of like this touch of artistry that it is, funnily enough, it's not as pretentious as Birds of Prey. It's almost like they wanted to put kind of like the artistic style of Birds of Prey with a little bit of a notch of the what was it, Guardians of the Galaxy. And sometimes you're gonna see kind of like these visual transitions or visual text that tells you what happened. And it's entertaining. It tries to be fresh and different, and not at all well boring. And for example, instead of showing you kind of like a big test saying like 5 days. 3 hours later, the next day, or we're gonna do this is called Operation Shana. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the letters doesn't appear in just text. They actually managed to go a little bit artsy, and they decided to build it. Like for example, a couple of what example I could give. Like for example, the text is gonna appear made out of junk that is on the what is it laying around, or it's gonna be made by ants or rats, or kind of like it's drawn into kind of like a drawing, or it's made of something that is made of blood, something that is kind of integrated in the scenery, and that is really, I'll say that is, I wouldn't say it's 100% refreshing, but at least it's how can I say? It's ambitious. I'll say that is ambitious. But another thing that what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was also talking about that the first 5 minutes it also tells you the kind of movie it's gonna be, and boy, that is a bloodbath. This movie is violent. Really violent. You're gonna see people having been blown to bits, being mauled or eaten, or they're gonna be decapitation. They're gonna have brains all over. But damn that. It makes the Mortal Kombat movie looks like a PG-13 film. And I mean the one that came out this year, and the Mortal Kombat movie that came out this year. That one didn't restrain itself with the fatalities and the gore, and that makes it noticeable. But somehow this movie the Suicide Squad is more gorier than this year's Mortal Kombat film. It's astounding! Wow! So that actually kept me entertained. Not gonna lie. There are some cool action scenes. There's some moments that is ridiculous, I'll say. But well, it's a movie that they just wanted to play out kind of like a comic book, and it does what it does. Well, do I also have to mention that the movie also have that if I had to spoil it a little bit, but it's not too much because it's kind of revealed it, is that the enemy that the characters are actually getting infiltrated into that government, in which it was taken over by this guy who he even hanged kind of like the presidential family in a really shocking moment in which you even seen a whole family getting hanged. And basically they're hiding this intergalactic monster called Starro, the Star Monster or something like that, who is kind of like this big giant starfish, which this is why they call it the Project Starfish, or Operation Starfish. I don't remember what it is. It's kind of like this one-eyed starfish, kind of similar to the Dekarabia from the Shin Megami Tensei series. Let's say that this is a monster that kind of becomes kind of like the spaghetti monster from that it's gonna be more important during the climax, and boy, that the climax really delivers, I'll say. Also, a little bit of a kind of like a highlight is that there is kind of like a cutesy moment that only I could notice, and not many people will notice, is that there is kind of like a shot of one guy going on a car, and you're gonna apparently they shoot the kind of a keychain of a character keychain, and that moment melts my heart, at least personally, because I know that character. That character was Mafalda. Mafalda was an Argentinian comic from this what was it from the 60s from Argentina, and being Latin American, it was one of my favorite comics. And boy, that honestly, I felt very happy of that. Maybe they're gonna arrest me for having Argentinian taste. Just kidding. So well, I think I already told you a little bit of a lot of the things that I really like about this movie and how much I enjoy it. But like always, it is very fair to me to give out some criticisms that in order to, well, deflate the ego, because as much as I really like this movie, I don't want to overhype it so much. Because at the end of the day, it's still a DC Universe movie that is still in the same continuity that I am not very fond of. The only thing that they kind of connects from what I heard is that Bloodsport apparently tried to kill Superman with a kryptonite gun. That's the least I heard. What else? Another thing that I can... a bit of the negative I could say about this movie is that the movie is obviously too long. A lot of those movies are really long. This one is, I think it is 3 hour long, or 258 minutes. You know what? Let me see if they tell me the exact time. The exact time of this movie. Oh, it was 2 hours 12 minutes. It was only 2 hours. Maybe it felt a little bit too long, mostly kind of in the middle part. This is the thing that I have to say, is that while I really enjoyed the film, there were kind of like... I think it's the middle part that feels a little bit too long, and the climax, the climax also feels like it kind of drags on and on, because they jump from kind of like from one problem to another, which personally I wouldn't exactly have much of a problem, but I know that some certain audiences will find it like, oh my god, it's still going on. And it doesn't affect me very much. I'm used to it. But I bet some others will say that wouldn't feel like too fond of that. What else I did? Oh yeah, another thing that I do have to say is that the movie, it was kind of like 2 times that I felt like, oh no, you didn't. And the first one is kind of like the beginning, in which I'm not exactly kind of like a fan of those moments in which something really exciting happened, and then we cut to, well, 3 days earlier, and I was like, oh no, you didn't. And not many people are very fond of that trope, because sometimes it detracts you from the surprise that is happening, because, well, you're gonna know how it's gonna end up, and they did that. Luckily, it doesn't overstay that trope. But then also during the climax of the film, it comes a moment in which you see kind of like this big action moment, but then something happens, and it's like, for example, 8 minutes earlier, and then it feels like kind of like the movie is separated. It separates itself in kind of like a different timeline, and it makes you kind of forget that, well, something else was already happening, and you were kind of invested. And while it is kind of like artistically challenged, I appreciate it, but I don't think that it kind of worked as well as I thought. That's pretty much the biggest negatives that I have. Also, a part that I repeat again that I didn't buy Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's a good actress, but but personally, I don't think that she is a good Harley Quinn. So, man, I never expected to like this film. It's one of those that I had no expectations, no faith, no hope on what it was gonna do, only to bring me a big smack in my face and say, hey, I had fun. It's the most fun I had on a DC movie ever since Shazam. Because this one doesn't feel hold back. This is kind of like the movie that DC really needed. I still hold up saying that still needs a reboot. But either way, if this movie is gonna be nominated or win for the visual effects, this is gonna be the time that I finally say, yeah, this time you deserve it, because the other one did it. This one does. So do I recommend it? Yeah, I do recommend it. If you have a good time and you are okay with with the Suicide Squad, yeah, check it out. Again, it's fun, it's bloody, it's stylish, it's what I needed. I needed this kind of fun when it's about the kind of like a dumb superhero movie. I mean, anti-hero movie.